Hello everyone, I hope that you guys had a wonderful trading week thus far. I hope that you guys have been paying attention to, all of the price action. We have been on point for the FX and the index futures market thus far, right? And as usual, our concepts still prove to be true. So yes, here you guys can see we did not have, right, and we've talked about this before, no news events for the first 3 trading days of the week. Today we had US news in the morning, and tomorrow we will have USD news during the New York session. So this piece of advice right now, right, is for those of you that you want to be snipers, right? You want the easiest setups that will give you the most out of it, right? And I'm pretty sure that most of you have heard me say this before, but I'll just say it again. The best session to trade is the New York session. It's pretty obvious, right? Even though during the Asian session, there'll be times whereas you have sequential SMT and then you have price going to the direction that sequential SMT is pointing towards. Even though, in the London session, the same thing will happen. And even though, in other sessions, such as the even session, you'll have setups that are pretty clean form. They will not be comparable to the ones that will form during the New York session, right? That's pretty obvious. Why? And as you guys can see, most of the times, right? Almost all the time, to be honest, like basically 80% of the time, whenever we have high impact news events, it's usually during the New York session, right? Am I right or am I wrong? I'm right. Right? And due to the fact that we trade based off of time, so our trades are on schedule, this comes in very handy to us because we just wait for the 90-minute cycle. Unless if you want to go down that far, you can just use sequential SMT between the sessions of the day, obviously using the 50-minute time frame, which matches that cycle, which is a daily cycle. And then you will get your setup, right? So yes, here you can see that we have price trading towards, our major liquidity pools, which we have been highlighting the high here, which is around 106, close to 107 for the US dollar index, right? So that's going quite well. And of course, we're still expecting price to blow above the high. Here for the euro, right, we're expecting the euro to be completely, mirrored inversely, of course, to the US dollar index. You can see that it has done the exact same thing that's happened here within the US dollar, but just, it has mirrored it. So we did expect a, drop in price for the euro this week. We expected the weekly candle to be just as how it is right now. And we expected the same for the British pound, but we expected the British pound to have less volatility, less impact, less liquidity inserted into it than these assets over here, right? So, and again, you guys can see that the higher time for sequential SMT, right, between the years, and it doesn't matter, right? It could be between 2027 and 2028. It could be between 2041 and 2042, right? It will usually give you the same result as how we got here, right? One-sided price action. And the only time we got, this explosive move in prices when we got the sequential SMT. Here we'll go over the major moves between the euro and the Great British pound this week, right? So here, this right here is sequential SMT between the afternoon session and between the Asian session. So this is what I mean when I say that there are times when you see the Asian session either expand or just aggressively fall, right? This usually happens whenever you have sequential SMT between the afternoon session or Q4 and Q1, right? This could be likened to the Monday expansion model that you guys know so well. And whenever you see this happen, the next, you should just expect Q1, which is the Asian session, to be the high of the day, right? Or just expect it to be a major high, or just the high of the upcoming quarter or the upcoming 2 quarters. It will give you a setup, right? So this would be the Asian expansion model. Here you can see that this high was not challenged by the London session. Here, the same thing as well. And here you can see that price traded into a gap. Here, there was no gap for price to trade into, which showed us that there was a cracking correlation right here. But the major thing to note is this sequential SMT that occurred here. Q1 and Q4, daily, weekly, is also powerful, yes. And here you can see that price fell and then it rallied aggressively again. And when we see this happen, right, and we're already, bearish on the higher time frame, we will just see this run up from here, that occurred here. And the fact that we did not have sequential SMT here meant one thing, that price is just going up for a, short period just to return to this low. And this low will be deemed as liquidity due to the fact that it was not sequential SMT. So price rallied. Same thing occurred again. We had sequential SMT, but this time it was between the Asian session and the London session. So there is something that Michael has talked about a lot, right? Where he states that most of the times, or, times whenever you have the London session being the high or low of the day, right? Price will, expand the most then, right? Why is that? Going back to quarterly theory, just due to the fact that Q2 was designed for manipulation. So whenever you see this happen during Q2, creating the sequential SMT, especially here, right? Here where we have sequential SMT between the London session and the Asian session, expect London to be the high of the day, of course. Right? So here we had price trade above this high. It failed to do so for the euro. And what occurred afterwards, price fell aggressively. And this is due to the fact, the reason why you see the bearish sequential SMT, showing itself so much, whereas the bullish sequential SMT isn't, is due to the fact that we already have a higher time frame bias, right? We already have a higher time frame premise that we're working with. So yes, it's as easy as that. Higher time frame sequential SMT. Expect the lower time frame to, walk in the same path that the higher time frame is. So here, price trade above this high. This is a precision candle right here. And you already know when you have sequential SMT in a precision candle, we expect reversals. Even alone, just this alone, once you have price break below a swing low, you have sequential SMT already, right? And this is literally, one of my favorite things ever, right? To see sequential SMT between the Asian session and the London session, because that is not, something that always happens, right? Especially when you're in premium, right? And here at this low, right, from this low to this high, that's the range. And there's a range confirmed when we have sequential SMT. We can use it once we break below this low, right? This is a breaker. Price trades up into this fair value gap, and it falls. This is the main reason why all of this happens. Right? I'm trying to drill this into your brains. You don't need it. You don't need anything else. It's always there. It's like every time you have a reversal that holds for a long period of time, or gives you a very good move or very good trade, this is what happens, right? This is exactly what always happens. And here again, remember, we were bearish on the week, and you already see what happened this week. We talked about this, right? Then here, what do we have? And again, we have sequential SMT. We have SMT right here. There are times when you have regular SMT, right? There are times where you have a regular SMT. What can turn that regular SMT, into sequential SMT whenever there's a precision swing point afterwards, right? But it must be, on the same time frame, and this is just for SMT that it's not sequential. And as you can see that we have price run to this high here. Here, price failed to do so, formed a precision swing point, then it aggressively fell. This correlation occurred on the 90, and within the 90-minute cycles. And that's something that you can look at. So you can already see what the bias played out this week for the FX market, and we're going to see if it did for the futures market triad, which it did. So here, this is the model that I said that I'll be showing you guys today, right? For this, right, you do not need, and that's specific for this time frame, you don't need sequential SMT. But if it occurs after this precision swing point has been formed, then you will have a lottery ticket in your hand, right? So here, this is the daily time frame. This is the high of the precision swing point or low, and I've done it for all three of these assets. Here, you can see this is a undecisive candle. Here, this is a down close candle, and here, this is a up close candle. So here we have a precision swing point that's followed by a precision candle. Whenever you have this type of price action, the candle follows after these two are both crooked correlation, right? You only need price to fall below the 50% of one of this candle. So for example, here it fell below 50%, and even here with this precision swing point alone, once it falls below the 50%, what do you look for? Gap, or for price to run below a low. So you mark this out in your chart just like this. And both of these assets can be used both of these candles can be used the same way, because this is a precision swing point, this is a precision candle, so they're both what someone would consider as a real order block if order blocks do work in fact. So here price trades below the 50%, did the same thing here and the same thing here. Here they trade below 50%, didn't do that right here, but we did have price expand here, right? And fill this gap as we expected. Meanwhile, here we had price lagging the north, but we still expect some upside nonetheless. Going down to a lower time frame, which is literally just going down one time frame from the daily time frame, which will bring you down to the 4-hour time frame. This candle right here, right, which is the low of the daily precision swing point. You can see it's a down close candle. This would serve as a real order block, and also it's below the range. Right, so you'd like to see price trade into this candle. You wouldn't just want to be buying this candle just like that unless you're a long-term trader or a swing trader, where you like to hold for days. If you're a person that you're either a scalper or a day trader, then you'd like to wait for a sequential SMT to occur here on the lower time frame. Right, already you can see that today that did happen. When would you ask? It did happen during the New York session, which is when we had news, right? So here you can see that price did not trade below this candle. On here, it did trade below this candle. And here, it did not trade below this candle, which is why these assets expanded more than this one, right? So to the on-chain eye, this looks like noise, right? It does, but we know what's going on. And going down to a lower time frame, right? It's easier to see the correlation, which sent price higher. So first of all, we did have SMT, sequential SMT between these highs right here. And I will take these lines off. Right? We did have sequential SMT between these highs right here. Right? Whereas the NASDAQ, right? Price fell here. Price, dropped, but did not take these highs out. So, that's the correlation. Why didn't price continue to go lower? That's due to the fact that we had the daily cycle, the daily candle, which was a not sequence D, it was a cracking correlation in the form of a precision swing point, right? So when you have a daily candle that's a precision swing point, you will need more than a weekly cycle sequential SMT to take that out. And to make it worse, we had two correlations in the form of candles, a precision swing point and a precision candle, which formed on Wednesday, right? And also the fact that we had sequential SMT occur here, which we'll see clearer right here, right? Sequential SMT occur here, right, between the New York session and the London session. That's the reason why, we got this type of price action, right? So again, here, this is a London session, London low. Price traded up. We had sequential SMT. Then what happened again? It dropped. Then what happened? We had sequential SMT again. Then you have price rally. As long as, right, you have price trading below this low, and price is not below this low, this would be something to buy. Not on this candle right here. Not on this candle right here, right? Why is that? That's because there was no closures yet. You need to close for precision. So once this happens, price closes, and you're sure that this is in fact sequential SMT and not hidden sequential SMT, the next candle, your trade will form in the next candle. So yes, I hope that this was in fact, and yes, there is a 5-minute precision swing point with it there. But as we know, right, price is fractal, and within every precision swing point, there, it's just that you need to go down lower on the lower time frame for you to see the sequential SMT or another precision swing point. But once there is a correct correlation there, right, and more particularly in the form of a precision swing point or a sequential SMT, you'll find your way. I hope that you found this useful. We had 2 out of 3 of our analysis, coming to fruition this week. So for Bitcoin, the sequential SMT for now, right, seems to be invalid. For the FX market and the futures triad, it was very fruitful. So I hope that you guys continue studying, and we will be back next week, full force. But before I go, I would like to make sure that everyone that paid for 12 months, I'd message my assistant, and if you can't get to my assistant, you can message me your email address so that we may grant you, lifetime access so you don't get charged again. Right? So please make sure that you do that, right? But even, if you forget to or something, you will be refunded. Do not worry. So I hope that you found this useful. I hope that you're studying and you can see that this is in fact the truth. This is something that works. You don't have to be stressing yourself to, make sure that price falls in this gap and working within the kill zones or, looking at the seasonal tendency or, reading the moon or anything at all. This is all you need. Highs and lows plus quarters. So yes, again, I'll talk to you guys next week. Ciao.